random pop-up, and this is me in my jammies. I know it takes a few seconds, so the reality is when you go live on here, there's like a delay, and I realize when I start these lives, I gotta consider the delay that happens. So I'm not really fancy schmancy on the lighting tonight. I'm not really, all up in you. I could do that if I wanted, but honestly, I really want it to be a little softer lighting, a little bit more intimate. Let me move this over here. I didn't really want the reflection over there. So you get my mantle over my right shoulder. I know we're all going through something right now, and I really felt like I took a walk tonight because I know I've been going through my emotional roller coaster, because that is part of what the human existence is. This is life, people. Stop running from it. Try being with it. Stop trying to chase the highs and avoid the lows. The roller coaster is the full spectrum of emotions. Emotions are like human waste, kind of like showing our shit, what we're attached to, and what we can't let go of. And the things that we don't want, like the temper tantrums we throw. We might be adults here, but there's a lot of adults running around acting like traumatized children, because they're acting out their childhood needs. They don't even realize their addiction to drama and trauma is because their inner child is being neglected. So as an adult, they're running around trying to meet needs, but not connecting to what the real needs are. What's the real root of my suffering? What am I really running from, as opposed to what's right inside? And I've had to go through my own healing. That's why I speak from this position of like, I share my personal life, my personal experience. The wisdom that I receive, the golden nuggets of life that I have, that I reveal to you, the channels, the messages, the downloads, whatever you want to call them, those are all insights into the wisdom that I have learned through my personal experience and integration of this human. Knowing that we're all perfectly who we are. There's no such thing as perfectionism. It's a ghost. And we're all chasing some unattainable goal of being something that is so far out of reach, instead of just being with what is. And when you're with what is, you're not trying to fake the funk, it's less exhausting. Like when you allow and you go with the flow, instead of trying to push against the waves. Yeah, there are going to be times in life where we need to, we got to suck up the courage, we got to face fear, despite the, the trepidations, whatever it is, the stories, the constructs, the what ifs, because the mind can only anticipate what it has experienced in the past. So that's what we all come from. We all come from that position of where we've been and where we think we're going, or where we want to be, as opposed to just being with what is. And right now with this eclipse season, everybody's gotten hit. Even if you're not trying to focus on it, you're not trying to, you don't want to deal with it. Maybe you're just like, I'm getting hammered. This is happening, that's happening. And you know what happens? When you focus on the negative, you can find lots of things to complain about, right? And it's almost like you create more of the domino effect. It's like, I'm in a shitty mood. I go into self-sabotage. My life is crap. And then you see, and look at that, and see it reinforces it. Because that's the same dopamine hit as when you get something you like. You don't realize how addictive emotions can be, because they create that chemical dependency. Again, you create your own chemical concoction. So you get to choose what you're going to feed. Are you going to feed the negative Nancy? You're going to go on that circle, that spiral, that out of control loop of everything that's going wrong? Or are you going to be grateful? Because when you stop and you look around And you realize I got the breath of life. That when I wake up in the morning, I have 4 walls around me. I have a roof over my head. I got a nice toasty or cool bed that I can sleep in at night. I have water that runs. That, you know, how you're grateful for your body, for the different things it does, the sensations that you feel when you do things. And there's so much to be grateful for. You can just start with smells, taste, touch, hearing, your breath. I mean, I always like to think about the fact that every breath you take is proof you are loved by the Creator, by Source, by Spirit, God breathing into you. Spirit is your breath. That's love in action. And most people feel lonely, but they're not alone. Even myself, sometimes I have those moments where I'm like, I'm not, you know, I feel alone. I feel neglected. I feel like people only come to me when they want something. I can tell that story because that's been my life. But now, from this point forward, I am so clear on what it is I am here to do and who I am. I'm recognizing and dealing with old traumas like you are too. We all are. Because if you don't face your shit's gonna take you out. We're all being squeezed and pressurized. We're getting the rotor-rooter treatment, okay? You're literally getting like, someone's going poking and provoking, churning up your shit, stoking your fire to really find out what's the priority, what really matters to you. Do you matter to you? Because are people allowed to take advantage of you? Are they able to get under your skin and manipulate you? Guilt you into doing what they want at their whim, as opposed to you tuning in, because a lot of us out here, I'm just speaking for myself, but I've had this conversation a lot, probably because as light workers or whatever you want to call yourself, I really don't like the labels. Anybody who knows me knows that I come from a whole lot of different backgrounds. I'm a cat of many lives in this one life. And my experiences have taught me that labels limit you. Whenever someone puts a label on you, it's like a death sentence to me. I don't want to ever be labeled. I don't ever want to be called anything but Helena. And I like it when someone says my name and they make an effort to say it, because that's your energy being fed back to you. And so pay attention to the energy you bring to a person, how you show up to the world. Do you honor and appreciate others the way you want to be honored and appreciated? And sometimes that's not going to look the same. Just remember that. Somebody's idea of how you should show up to them, they may not be doing to you either. And this has been an interesting dynamic I've been witnessing. With all my cycles of grief, I've actually had to go deep into resentment toward those who have tried to force me to hurry up, to be on their timeline, where they're at in their lives. Like, I know when that happens, that just shows that the other person, no matter what they're going through, they're avoiding it. When someone tries to force you up in your healing process, like when you're going through grief or you're going through a major life change, that's not a reflection on you. That's a reflection on their inability to have compassion and love and honor their own selves. Because when you honor your truth as a healer, as a whatever it is walk of life you traverse in this existence, when you know to honor yourself, it's easier to honor others. If you're not honoring that in yourself, it's going to be easier for you to walk and step all over others. Consider that. So if somebody's not available when you want them, hey, I need you right now. I want you. I want access to you. Maybe you've always been available to them. And I'm one of those people for a lot of people. And then I'm like, whoa, I actually have had to step back for my own self-nurturing and care, as you all know what I'm going through. And then I sit here and I'm like, Buddy's birthday, the 18th. I'm like, fuck. Talk about crazy, shitty timing. Really? This eclipse season for me? Wow. You know, and it's so symbolic and ironic for me. Like, I'm sharing this with you, that grief is a process you can't speed up or force on anyone, especially yourself. You have to actually own where in your life maybe you neglected your own healing through it, or acknowledging that, like I've shared with you all before, that for me, I don't always deal well with grief. In my past, I would run. I was a runner for a reason. Easier to not face things and keep busy, keep moving, keep distracted, chasing the runner's high. But you have to honor the lows too. And so I know my past has been, and I have struggled with depression. I don't talk about that much. Why? Because I don't want people to feel bad for me. I honor it. Like, it sucks. It's deep rest. It's I gotta sit in my shit. I gotta sit in my belief systems. I gotta actually confront what comes up. And that can be, I mean, that's the dark side. That's your shadow that has to be embraced and honored. Like, we humans, we are a melange of experience. All of it should be honored. Otherwise, why are you even trying to claim to be a human? Hue means light. Man, mantra, existence, connection. We're here to have all these experiences, not to judge them or label them, but just to recognize. It shows the imbalances, it shows the frequencies. I mean, it really is all energy. And if you're not allowing yourself to fully feel something, how are you going to know when it's real? Because every part of you is your medicine, is your magic, is the essence that heals one another. Like, you can't discount yourself, because that discounts another. And when you deny yourself, you deny another. But when you honor yourself, you reveal it to others. And it gives others permission to do that for themselves. It shows them how you honor and demonstrates how to treat you. Because this is what we need more of in the world, is not this running away from stuff, not the temper tantrums either. Like, it's called emotional regulation for a reason. And the reason is you slow down. I like to talk about the breath, because the spirit of life is all about being present. When you master your breath, you become present with it, not just let it mechanically happen. You literally take that long, slow, deep inhale through the nose, feel it go all the way down into the pelvic floor. Feel it expand, because that's what it's doing. When you take in the breath of life, it expands you energetically, physically, emotionally, mentally. Every single thing. It's there to nourish. Spirit is life. It's giving life when you breathe in. And then when you exhale and you contract and you squeeze it all out, what it has done is it has gone in and cleansed out what was stagnant in you. So we're always expanding or contracting at all times. And when we become present with what is really going on with our physical body, you know, we start breathing into, oh, I feel a sensation there. What's that trying to tell me? I feel a tightness in my throat. What am I trying to express of myself? What am I failing to communicate? What am I holding back on? What am I, you know, my truth? Am I revealing my truth, or am I choking myself? My heart, okay? Now, this is what I was sharing about my personal experience in the timing of these eclipses. Like, I got hammered. I did not expect this coming. I really did not. A lot of things in hindsight in life, we let our guards down. But because, again, see, this is the beauty of this experience for me, is that for 23 years, I had a shield, and I called them breast implants, right? And that was a barrier. Just like we talk about how we manifest weight on our bodies as a way to keep people away from us. Physical manifestation is just a translation of the mind. It's telling you everything you need to know about what's going on up in here. So when you master your breath, you slow down enough to recognize, okay, I feel my body, and then I connect the dots to the mind and my beliefs, and I like really slow down. Oh my gosh, those thoughts, again, you start to recognize. That's why we meditate. When you slow the breath down and you become more and more conscious and aware of your patterns, your belief systems, your BS. We're all addicted to them. Come on. They need a shake up, a breakdown. Sometimes that's what leads to our breakthroughs, is you have to have a complete, utter annihilation of everything you thought was real and true to be wiped out and just be like, there you go. Now what? Okay. So everything you thought was true, it was just a facade, and you attached to it. So now you have pain because of a belief system. But it's not even real. Like, you have to be completely honest with yourself, but it felt real because you feel it. So that's where, when we master our breath, we master the mind, because we start to align what is real in the mind to what we feel is real in the body. Your truth is only something you can feel. So truth is not something someone can just tell you. You have some part of your body that is your fuck yes or your fuck no. It's a don't even fuck with me. Because kinesiology is a yes or a no. Yeah, there's a maybe in there sometimes. Depends on the circumstances and the question. But typically, if you want to cut dry, you're going to feel it. And when you align to all of that, nobody can get one over on you. When you own all your parts, you own your dark and your light, you don't candy coat stuff, you feel all the feels, even when you're like, oh, this sucks. You don't try to run away from it. Because when you're chasing the high, you're ignoring and dissing what's going on, and that's where the truth lies. So when we have all these discomforts, it's just showing you where you're dissing your comfort, where you're misaligned in the mind, and the body's just saying, screaming at you, going, tattletale, we got a liar out there. And I think it's actually kind of comical, because we all came in with very childlike natures, and we still have them. That inner child's still there. It's just about re-sparking it. It's reigniting it, reuniting with it, right? The reunion with yourself, your truth. It's about you acknowledging your inner child, loving your inner child, and saying, you know, I'm so sorry. I forsake you. I forgot you. What is it you need? I'm not going to ignore you anymore. Like, it's you and me, babe. We got this. Like, when I look in the mirror, I'm like going, wow, you know, it feels so much lighter and freer. I'm still getting my range of motion in my arms, because I recognized, and I knew this before I got my implants out, that a lot of the impingements with my shoulders were really just where the implant was under the muscle. It was causing issues with the ligaments and the tendons and all the corresponding muscle groups in my shoulder. So it's all connected. You can't dismiss something. It's all connected. Everything in your body is connected to your mind. And if your belief system is rigid, I guarantee you got a rigid body. Your back is probably stiff and out of whack, because this is mind, body, soul medicine, baby. It's really just like, wow, if I am honoring my truth, that's all you got to do. That's what brings you to the world. That is your gift. It's just you honoring who you are in this human existence, allowing your human light to shine. Hue also has shades of dark, right? But it's your dark that allows your light to shine. They complement one another. Just don't deny that. What you resist will persist. What you ignore will catch you off guard too. And so I just really felt like, you know, I've been in my funks, obviously, where I got my heart broken, because this is the irony, right? So I take off this shield, I open my heart back up, and I'm like really tested. My heart was so tested because I love that dog so much. And I'm having to go through waves of forgiveness for myself, because anybody who knows me, you know I read labels, you know I do research. I don't like medicine. I don't like putting anything that is not nature made in my body. And in this day and age where we're being bombarded by poisons all over the place, in the air, in the water, in the food, if you're not vigilant in your lifestyle and choosing and doing better for you and the ones you love, and you get caught off guard like that, you beat yourself up. Like, that's a huge, we do that to ourselves. You know, he trusted me, I trusted the vet, that kind of situation. And when your trust is broken, anyone out there knows, and especially for me as a Leo, and my family is I am like Big Mama. I love my family. Nothing comes between me and my family. And I said that to my sister. We are really blessed. We need something, we got each other. Not everybody has that. That's one thing, if you have it, tell the people you love the most how much you honor and love them, cherish them. Remind them, like ask them, how are you feeling? That really matters to people, to be seen, to be heard, to know someone cares enough. I've really seen so much in the way people have been toward me, and I've had to actually step back, and in this time period of grieving Buddy, and really reevaluate a lot of my relationships and recognize the people that claim to be my friends, but yet their actions don't demonstrate the same. And as a person as I am, so aligned to my integrity and being in service, it would not be in alignment with me if I were to just act like it was okay to treat me that way. And so a lot of people that I've known for many years reach out and they need me, they want me, even during my time of grief. Failing to ask, how are you doing? How can I help you? Is there anything you need? I have a lot of other friends. They're genuine. That's the first thing they ask when they reach out to me. I have other friends. It's not the first thing they ask me. It's the last thing they ask me. And then the actions and the behaviors just show me, and this is my compassion for me, because I'm honoring me and my process, that I acknowledge and I recognize their inability to truly honor and to feel their feels, as opposed to avoid and try to forge ahead. Because when you try to run from what's coming up and what's going on within you, oh, I'll get through this, I got other stuff to do, I'll just keep my eye on the prize, I'll work over here. That doesn't honor you. And that actually dampens, and any progress in your healing gets thwarted, and that's by your choosing. But when you sit with the shit and it really sucks, I'm here to tell you, the healing already starts in that moment. You're choosing you, and to feel it through and through, and to really be present in it as opposed to avoiding or running from it. That is so much better, because then every time that you avoid something and it gets reignited and re-triggered, you experience it amplified. So if you heal it in the moment as opposed to run from it, like when the waves come in, you surf them. You're like, okay, I'm gonna be in this right now. As opposed to, again, avoidance. Avoidance isn't gonna heal you. It's not gonna make it go away. In fact, you know what, avoidance? It shows you don't know what's real. You don't know how to be true to yourself and feel, because that's the real heal. And truth is revealed as a result of you feeling. That's how you learn to discern the truth from the lies. And it lies within you. So when you think you see lies outside of you, it's only because it originated within you. Like, I mean, if someone's coming at you, trying to take advantage of you, it's only because you've been doing it to yourself. And I know we've all been guilty of doing it to people, trying to manipulate, trying to guilt people or shame them into going along with our ideas or our plans or trying to get our ways. We've all done it. We were kids once. That's how children learn to manipulate and get their needs met, is through trying different things. It becomes a problem. It becomes an addiction when you become an adult, and that's continual. And it's called a habitual addiction. You know, chasing highs, whatever it is you do. Throwing temper tantrums. Maybe you think you're in that soft and subtle, and I'm speaking gently, I'm not yelling at you, but that can be just as manipulative too. It can be the feminine, it can appear as the feminine, disguised, but it's the masculine. The masculine is the one that tries to force you to do. The feminine has flow and grace. It appreciates, it doesn't emasculate. It appreciates and it honors the cycles of life. Masculine's about getting shit done, right? It's all relevant. Which are you in? Are you noticing that? My life was driven on the masculine. Me not realizing it because I had to grow up quickly. I went into the military. You know, I was in those environments. And as a woman in the IT realm, it's like I had to prove myself that much more. And I was damn good at everything I did. In fact, I always went above and beyond because that's who I am, because I had my own inner competition. I wasn't trying to prove myself out there. A lot of it was inside. But yeah, there was also the proof in the world, because that's what we're taught from birth. You have to prove yourself worthy of love. You have to prove your success. You have to go out into the world and make something of yourself. Like, all of that is a constant striving for that perfectionism again. That's unattainable. It's a ghost. We're all chasing ghosts. But at what point do we remember that we're human? We're souls having a human experience. And the beauty and the gift of this life is feeling all the feels. God loves the shit and he loves it all. I mean, there's no judgment or labeling from the divine, from God, from source, from all of this creation. It's us humans that put these labels and attachments to things. And that's the reason for our suffering, is because of it. Man-made constructs, stories. The sooner we actually own that it's all neutral and we just, you know what? Okay, this is just navigating me. Oh, this is bringing this up. Okay. They're all communications to navigate and really just hone in on our skills and ability. Like, we are master manifestors over here. We do some amazing stuff. You know, I was having some apricots, red apricots earlier tonight, and I was like, oh my gosh, the flavors. Like, I'm like, thank you, saliva glands, and thank you, tongue and mouth and sensations. What a gift to feel, and just the burst, the flavors, the juiciness of life. We are extrasensory beings. If someone says you're sensitive or too sensitive, just tell you thank you. Always say thank you. You know why? It is a compliment. I'd rather be sensitive than insensitive. Pay attention to languaging. People will try to poke and provoke, but those are the people who don't know how to elevate themselves by putting others down. That's how they seem to think it works. And that's part of old paradigms, old wounds, old legacies passed on in families where, you know, people cut each other down to bring themselves up. That's not healthy. We're getting past that now. Emotional regulation is recognizing, wow, I used to cut people down to make myself feel better. Like, wow, I've come a long way. That I now am, like, my goal, like, I personally, I've never been like that. I believe in honoring and, like, you know what, your success, that makes me happy. I want you to succeed because your success gives me permission too. The more people we celebrate when we see it, like, oh my gosh, your eyes are gorgeous. Like, sometimes women think I'm funny because I'm just like, I'm loving your look, lady. I'm loving you're just glowing. I will totally go off on a goddess. Same thing with the man too. When I see something, just, you know, that radiance, I want that person to know they're seen and felt, because that feels good. Feels good to me to say it too, and to witness and to be a part of that divine dance, that honoring, that grace, that flow of life. That's what us humans are here to do. Give it back to each other, not take. Think about that. We're living in a world where they think they can get us by telling us there's not enough for us. So you have to take for yourself, or you have to compete for your role, your attention, your 5 seconds of fame, whatever that is. If you have to throw a temper tantrum, or you have to put a label on yourself and you got to force other people to treat you a certain way, you're going to, again, that's a chasing a high. That's not going to satisfy you. You know why? You're left empty-handed. There's nothing tangible in that. It's more ego-based, head over heart, right? The head gets you in the way, it gets in the way, and it's what gets you in trouble. The more you get into the feeling, like there's tangibility there. You're like, wow, that left me feeling good. I want more of that. I want to give back to that. That's what we call in marketing magnetic. You magnetize. You pull, not push marketing. You're not trying to push yourself on anybody. You're not trying to force anything. You're magnetizing. You're drawing them in with your presence. You're giving them yourself. And people are magnetized to people who are real. Not trying to be something they're not. I mean, especially in this day and age where everybody's an influencer. Hey, listen, social media is burnout lane. You know, like there's a lot of people don't realize how much work goes behind the scenes to be a social media influencer. What looks pretty on the scene, on the you know, in all these beautiful pictures, you can actually not see behind the scenes. No sleep. I'm just going to give you some examples. All-nighters, constant drain, no sleep, interaction with your followers, whether it's in messages or on comments, constantly reaching out, trying to engage, because that's all that is. You got to like work it. It's a hustle. And it doesn't feel authentic if you're having to hustle, does it? And so, you know, to be human and say, listen, sometimes I'm not available. It's okay. That's giving yourself permission, but reminding people that not everybody should be available or feel entitled to your time and your energy. And if you are always available, ask yourself, are you giving that back to yourself? What are you doing for yourself that you're giving out to everyone else? I've had to sit with that, where I am always available to a lot of people, because I told you in my previous video that I had to sit with that old, I'm a people giver, you know, like I nurture. It's a people pleasing. It's a whole trying to keep the peace. I have a Libra rising, so I'm all about taking care of everybody. It's my natural, you know, keeping the balance, keeping the flow. And even if I'm a Leo and it's very flashy on the outside, and the inside I'm going, okay, everybody's taken care of, you know, that's my MO. But I also have a Capricorn moon, which is also very hard on myself too. So and there's so much more to astrology and planets and all that. You just got to know yourself. When you know yourself, you honor it, as opposed to try to play the game of, okay, I'll be there. You know, your obligatory yeses, as opposed to realizing I need to say no to honor me. Like I'm not available to you. I mean, I have people sometimes just pop out of the woodwork and it's like, they think I'm just available for them. And I'm not being nasty. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just like, dude, where have you been? You have to ask yourself when you reach out, if you're somebody like that. I've had this really just reflection of like, do you only show up? Are you one of those people who only shows up when you need something? How do you return the favor when someone's shown you good behavior? When they're available for you in your times of need? What happens when they're in their times of need? How do you show up to them? Or do you avoid them? Because I've seen that a lot. Where the same people I've been available to, sometimes they disappear off the face of the planet. Like they can't handle when I'm going through something. Or even when I'm going through this, so this time for me, I'm like over here going, wow, I'm really fucking grieving some serious stuff. And it's not just about Buddy, but Buddy really, you know, the whole catalyst of bringing old wounds to the surface. Like my resentment toward Tom and the time when my mom passed away and I had to deal with his childhood temper tantrums when I was trying to deal with my mother being on life support with my family. And I got this child of a man-child that's over here not giving me the space, not honoring me, demanding and trying to control the situation because he's out of his shit. He doesn't know how to handle it because he doesn't deal with his own stuff. I was more compassionate to that than he was to what I was going through. And that's because I'm that much more aware of myself. And I felt pretty confident in knowing what I was struggling and dealing with during those times too. I'm very much the take charge, okay, here's what we need to do. And we kept the focus. But when I got home and the stuff that I was still dealing with during that time, like I didn't get help. I had more competition and fighting and like resistance. It wasn't a collaboration. It was not a healthy relationship. Of course, I wish I had done a lot of things differently, but ultimately I didn't get to fully grieve that time. And I knew it at the time because I remember my birthday just wanting to scream, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even scream in my own fucking home because I'm worried about how someone else is going to deal with their shit because they can't hold it. They can't handle their own emotions, let alone someone else's. You got to learn to honor yourself and fuck the rest of that shit sometimes. I mean, for me, I move my body. I get out in nature. I take a walk. Nature is my medicine. Nature feeds me back what I need. It fills my cup. Sitting by the waterfront today just felt so nourishing. Sitting in the sun, just feeling it on my skin. Hearing people around me walking and talking and just enjoying life is like, wow, yeah, I love this. This is where I need to be right now. And just going through waves, because up until this last eclipse, I was like, fuck, I got deep in it again. And I was in depression, and then I was out of it. And then I literally gained so much clarity as a result of this. And I hope and I pray that everybody else does too, because the rotor-rooter of this time period is really to create the clearest vessel, the clarity in you, knowing what it is you value first in yourself and what it is you are here to bring to the world. If you're not in that authentic state of like true reverence, like this is my being, my human. This human deserves better. So I'm going to honor that. And that's what I'm attracting now. Like I am embarking on a whole lot of creativity right now. I'm in a huge creative space right now. I've got some really, I'm not going to share it all right now. You know why? Because I'm being with what I've got going on and I'm enjoying it. Sometimes it's better not to share all your stuff right away. But truly, like I'm in my feminine. I'm in this honoring of like being taken care of. Like the people who are showing up to me in my life right now are here to support me. And I've been needing that in return. Thank you. Hi, Nigel. Yes, Clearwater. I am honoring what I need right now. So when I ask people for help and assistance, I'm receiving that. Now, I say that because actively I'm allowing it. I haven't always gotten that in return. I haven't always had that available to me over the past several years. I've been neglected. First for myself, obviously, or it wouldn't be showing up around me. But I'm owning that. I'm owning the fact that I didn't hold other people accountable, because I have to be an accountability person for a lot of people. I have to call people out on their shit. I'm that tough mama love that sometimes people do come to me because they know I'll do that. If you're being selfish, I'm going to tell you. And lately I've had a lot of selfish coming at me. And in cases where I actually realized, wow, I got Jedi mind tricked. I got looped into things that weren't really my vision or my ideas, and they need to be reevaluated and renegotiated and even discussed in a lot of things. Different people in my life, things are shifting. My priorities are different right now. Right now I'm priority number one. My family is priority number one. You know, my dad, he's 75 years old. God love him. He's doing great. I'm so proud of my dad. I said to my sister the other day, did you notice how good Dad's been? He's so happy. The ladies at the dental clinic were flirting with him. I love that. Socializing. Like, a lot of people are just struggling with the fact that they haven't been socializing. Do you know, at 75 years old, my poor dad has lost so many friends. And when you're the one left over, it's like, he's over here going through the grief of loss with friends, and so he needs friends, and so he's going through a similar thing that I'm going through. Well, we're all going through. I'm going to tell you that, because guess what? If the people in your inner circle are dropping like flies, that means that new people are coming into your life. You have to create that space. If you're holding on to people thinking you need to be loyal to them and they're just not They're not showing up to you? Well, guess what? This is a cycle of life that happens. It's natural. I've had this happen many times. And even for my dad, like people he grew up with. My dad, Cambridge, Massachusetts. My dad, he went to school with all the same people. And it's like, I think that's awesome that he stayed in touch with so many people. I went to 3 different high schools and we moved around a lot. I'm very like a chameleon. I love and adapt to change. And that's like where I thrive the most because I'm great at networking. I'm good at being resourceful. I just think it's an opportunity to get excited because then, you know, you learn. For many, it's uncomfortable, but you don't realize you grow through that. Like I love learning languages. I love adapting and overcoming challenges and finding new ways to do things. So right now I'm in my creative space. The juices are flowing. My femininity is going to be like more. I get to change my whole, you know, how I look. I'm like going through my closet. But at the same time, the other day I had to honor myself and say, I haven't even vacuumed my floors since Buddy passed away. That was the 25th of April. And this is me sharing an honest truth. There's a part of me that's afraid to let go of his fur, even though it's the house is clean, considering. But to not vacuum the floors is also my still needing to let go. Like, and I see that, I recognize that, I am honoring that. Like, wow, it's okay, when I'm ready, I will. But how many people do that? Really recognize, wow, I'm still missing him so much. I don't want to let him go because I don't want to vacuum the floors. It may sound silly to someone out there, it may not, you may relate. But there's these little things that we do sometimes that we just kind of dismiss. You know, like, life. You're human. If you can't honor what you go through, what would make you think that someone else could honor you too? Like, we really are we're the first responders to our own emotions. So when our shit is showing, and if we show up to soothe and nurture ourselves first, others around us are gonna like be like, wow, look at you. Thank you for giving me permission. I honor you. Like, it's this. It really is. You're real. Because I feel. Right? So whatever comes up for you, and when you do honestly honor and feel, nettle tea with a little bit of apple spice. Thirst. Simple human needs, right? When you are in an emotional state, I like to remind people this. This is Addiction 101. When we are triggered, halt. Am I hungry? Am I hangry? Right? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Do I need to give myself some attention? Just being present and looking in the mirror. Like, I love mirror therapy. I will do classes all day long on that one. Just look in the mirror and look at yourself. You're not alone. I see you. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. I give you permission, because when you're here, it's going to be so much better for you out there. Because when you are honoring where you're at, others will show up to you. They will respect you more for you being you being human. Like that, it's a rare thing these days, it seems. Right? I don't know. I just say, be a good human. Humans do amazing things. The full palette of experience. We came here for the melange. Taste it, smell it, you know, sniff it a little. Feel, you know, like really get into it, like get into the juicy meat of being a human, like, huh, I hear you, I see you. I'm feeling myself tonight, you know. Like, you got so much going on So if you catch yourself, again, okay, so halt. Hungry, angry, am I lonely? And T stands for more than one thing. Are you thirsty? You saw I just drank something. Are you're hot or cold? That's your temperature. Tired? That's the other one. Are you sleepy? Are you getting enough rest? A lot of us aren't. We're not getting enough sleep. We're bombarded by all the technology. We're on our phones day and night. We are not, doing the whole blue lights so that we can clear out this garbage. I need to be wearing my blue blockers, the light and the sensitivity. I'm going to start wearing those more. Because we don't recognize that we pick up. The average person, you're more sensitive than you give yourself credit. When you say, oh, I'm fine, you pick up the energies of the people around you. Our hair is an antenna. Haven't you noticed you feel the vibe of a place when you walk in? Like, don't discount your senses, your spidey senses. They know. You feel something, like something doesn't feel right. Trust that. Ooh, something feels good. I'm in the right place. Feel into it. The more you're feeling into it, navigating life, surfing those energies, it's a lot more exciting. It really is the flavor of life, is like, giving life to you is actually being in it, not just observing it. We are in some amazing times. We're being squeezed, right? So the eclipse season has really squeezed people really hard. I mean, I don't know anybody who isn't affected. Losing your shit or whatever you want to call it. Like life getting like real hard on them. Like, damn, like life is really beating me up, right? I know a lot of people have been saying this to me. They come to my yoga class like, whoa. I'm like, you know what? Give yourself a whole lot of credit. Anybody who shows up to my yoga class, I'm like, good for you. We need more of you. Because when you take care of you, you're doing it for everybody else too. That's why we join a community. Humans in unity equals community. That's what we need more of. None of this fighting against each other. If we don't come together, get our shit straight, like first off, that's what this time is about. Like you aligning to your purpose, aligning with the people around you. If you're not aligned with the people around you, what is keeping you together? Can't let go? Old patterns? You have to really sit with that shit. So we're being squeezed, and what happens when you squeeze a person enough? All the shit comes oozing out. Everything gets exposed. You can't deny it anymore. And I guarantee you, if you don't choose to change, the change will be made for you. The choice will be made in a way that you will not like. I had that happen to me in Naples, Italy when I lost my job. It really sucked. But boy, did it teach me the lesson of manifestation. Look at that. Universe, the whole time, God was saying, hey, you deserve better. You weren't listening. You weren't taking care of you. We're going to take care of this for you. It's not going to look pretty, and it didn't. I didn't know any better, so I didn't think I did. I knew I wasn't happy. See, if you're not happy, why are you still choosing unhappiness? Why do you... See, that's the part people don't get. You are choosing your unhappiness. At what point do you wake up and go, I choose me, and today I'm going to be happy? Because it is a choice. And it's a, snap of the fingers. Literally, just being grateful changes you immensely. Being, cordial and smiling to people. Look in the mirror, do the power postures, breathe in life. You got this. You got this. The people around you, if they don't got you, you got to stop trying to get them. Once you understand you, you'll overstand and understand everything else around you, because what shows up to you is where you're at. And if people are still trying to take advantage of you, you actually have to go back and go, whoa, I've been too available, clearly, to the wrong people. Because, see, here's the thing. It's about investment, right? A return on your investment. Think about it this way. If you're somebody out there and you're trying to figure out your manifestation, you're trying to figure out why I don't have money, you got a lack mindset. I'm chasing money because I don't have enough of it. that in itself, that whole fear, that's all up in here. It really is about you feeling good with where you're at. Listen, over the years, I'm going to tell you, I had to learn to budget. And I'm grateful I had a mother that I had and the circumstances that we had growing up. My mother taught me by observing. She could manifest money when we needed it, on the times where it was the toughest. And at the same time, I could see her spend it in what seemed to me at the time frivolously. But in her mind, she was unlimited. She was limitless because she knew she could get it. She would find it again. And because it was for us girls, that was her love being poured into us. That was her investment in us. She knew the return on her investment was going to land me right here. My sister where she's at. I mean, truly, think about how you invest in the people in your life. Think about how that is contributing to their success. Think about the people that maybe you take for granted and maybe you're not investing in them. Maybe they ask you to do something. Maybe they ask you to support them. And maybe you neglected supporting them. Maybe they supported you, but you didn't reciprocate that. Think about that. That's an interesting dynamic. It's something I've been kind of sitting with in a lot of different scenarios in my life where the same people that want me to help them haven't helped me in the past in the same way, or didn't invest in me with their time and energy that I have invested in them. If I am constantly coming to you, but I barely ever had you come to me, like my mother used to say how when we were kids, she was the mom that drove us everywhere. She would pick up all my friends because their mothers and their fathers didn't do it. Like, how fucked up is that? But she did that for us. But she demonstrated how much we were important to her. What's really sad is it demonstrated to me that the parents, it actually hurt me as a child because I felt like I didn't feel important to that other parent. But what it really was demonstrating was it wasn't important for that parent to also support that child that was my friend. I mean, my mother loved us that much that she didn't, okay, she made it aware that, it sucks because these other parents, they're not willing to take care of their children and drive them around. And so the children are kind of left, at the whim of another parent. And, there's a lot of that. A lot of us grew up with these different environments where I went to 3 different high schools. So I experienced so many different places, Maine, Massachusetts, New York, Florida. And I look at some of the behaviors, like I was having a friend that I ran into that I went to high school with and middle school, and we were talking about, the kids here in Florida, we were really blessed. We had a lot of parents that really watched out for us in the 80s and the 90s. Like, even the kids I went to school with, they didn't let the girls walk home alone or leave them abandoned. Like, these are just things we grew up with. I was born in 1974. I feel for some of the kids today that, number one, the parents aren't available. They don't have friends. They don't know who to trust. Like, we're really in a crazy world where you don't know who to trust. But back to return on investment, like, if you want someone to support you in a certain way, ask yourself, am I supporting that person in the same way? If you have a vision, you want them to support your vision, have you supported them in theirs? It's an interesting thing that, like, for me, having worked in social media, a lot of my friends, I wouldn't talk about social media with them. And why? Because it wasn't appreciated. Like, it was kind of neglected and taken for granted. Like, it's easy for me. Like, a lot of times I didn't want that relationship to suffer, because when you're in social media land and someone comes at you wanting social media advice or someone to promote them, it's like, were you promoting me? A lot of people don't, but yet they'll come to me wanting free advice. And having worked in IT where I made 6 figures, it's like, it's really interesting to see people think that, well, she's available, she gives me some free stuff, I'll take it, pushing the envelope. But I have some people that know better, and they're like, they wouldn't push that boundary, that limit with me. And then I got other people, they poke, they're like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I notice, I see you, I know who you are. And so my circle is tight, my circle is small. And I'm very selective in what I share with people now, more than ever, because your space, your energy is sacred. What does that mean? To make sacred. You hear the word sacrifice, people have to give and suffer is implied with the word sacrifice. No, it's actually supposed to be to make sacred, meaning there's reverence in it. Like I hold myself accountable and sacred to me first and foremost. And you need to do that for you too. Sometimes that means saying no to the takers and acknowledging and just being honest with yourself, where maybe in the past, maybe you're afraid to say no because you didn't think they'd still love you. Or maybe they didn't love you to begin with, but you didn't realize it until you said no, right? Have you had that happen before? Where just because you're a friendly person, maybe you're like me, you're like, well, oh yeah, I'm available and it's no sweat off my back. I'll help you, whatever it is. But then one time you decide to say no, and then you really see who your friends are. When you change what you've done in the past, people have to readjust, and they show themselves more and more. So over this past couple of years, what you've seen is people's shit on the surface. Why? Because everybody was like, whoa, wait a minute, my whole world was turned upside down. This is a new world now, people. The question is whether or not you're going to step into your authenticity. You're going to step into vulnerability and be courageous enough to let your true inner self be revealed to those around you. Because whether you know it or not, you don't have to consciously show it. Your shit will still show. That's one thing I have learned. And I've seen it in myself over the years. I'm like, oh man, ooh, I didn't look so pretty back then. Like when I'm a lion, okay? If I have a moment where I'm upset about something, my closest friends, I'm like, listen, I gotta get this shit out. I just gotta roar. Get that out. Because for me, it's cathartic. I get it out. I'm not gonna draw it out. I'm not gonna talk about it with everybody. You know, not everybody needs to hear that. That's just me shaking off my shit. You know how animals in nature, when they shake it off. That's them resetting their nervous system. For women, a lot of us, we talk things out. That's us. We call it dysregulating the nervous system, right? You get out the old crap. You get it off your stuff. Shake it off. That's the same thing with dancing, movement. That's why somatic, it's in your body. You feel it. You got to move it. You got to move that energy around, get it out. We are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit. Like, you really need to honor whatever's coming up and however it is you need to process it. And you know, sometimes we learn through our mistakes, our choices, because mistakes are just choices. You can always choose again, which means you never really make a mistake. You just make another choice to recalculate, right? To, as we say, course correct. I like to say it, you know, we can always course correct. You know, when you know better, you do better. Every day is a new opportunity to improve yourself upon the last. So when we shake it out, it's like, oh, you know, we sometimes we do. Our nervous system is our circuitry. We get fried, we get overloaded, especially in this craziness. Whether it's technology or emotions that, you know, like I said, emotions are your shit. It's your excrement. It's just exposing your attachments. That's all it is. It's exposing the stories that you are attached to, your belief systems, your inability to process and to allow what is. And emotions are just waves, cycles. And again, the cycles of grief. Hi, Kadia. Not too many people out there are really recognizing that these major changes that are happening in their lives are bringing up grief. I've talked a lot about it because I think it's very important. In this day and age with mental health issues and crises where people, you know, they don't feel they have other options. I've been there. I know what that feels like. But I also know myself and how in my past, I don't want to die. Even when I got to the point in high school, there were several times when I was suicidal after, you know, gosh, so much stuff. Because of that, it made me realize that I had so much more to live for. that because I grieved so much in those situations that I even fathomed or even thought about suicide, it meant I had that much more purpose to my life. Not too many people can go as deep as I do. So, okay, you know, bulldozer deep is what I joke about. I had a friend one time, I said, listen, with me, I go deep. And sometimes it's bulldozer deep. And, you know, that's how you really reveal what is below the surface, is you've got to dig for it. And unless you're willing to go digging into your own stuff, you're never going to heal. Like, you really need to be willing and honor that. So when we dig deep and you recognize, like, wow, I was suicidal because I didn't think I had any other options. I get it. But then for me, I had a revelation that means I've got that much more purpose. That somebody I cared about killed themselves. And because they killed themselves, I realized, wow, I love them. And I feel compassion because they didn't think anybody cared. But my revelation in all of that was, when you kill yourself, you leave behind more grief. You don't think about how your death affects others. You think that you have nothing to live for. But that's what you leave behind, is the guilt to the people who you left, thinking they did something that they didn't deserve you to be around. That's what really happens. So to me, really, what I said to a counselor one time, I said, for me, suicide is a selfish act. It means you're not thinking about anybody else but your immediate gratification, and you're thinking that nobody else cares about you is really that you're not caring about those others either. It is a reciprocal thing. It is a, wait a minute, if I off myself, there's a lot of people around me that are going to be affected. I do have purpose. There's more to my life that I'd clearly add value, or I wouldn't affect anybody when I go. Don't discount your value. You have so much more to give than you know. Right? That's a beautiful thing. So even if you do go into those depths of despair, and I've been there, and I go to deep rest, depression, because those are the moments when I need to honor and like really, like, I want to say celebrate, but it's like, wow, I loved something so much. Now I'm feeling that contrary, that opposing emotion. It's just expressing in my body and how I'm feeling my ability and willingness to live fully. That in itself is why we have a mental health issue in the world, is because people aren't given permission to honor it and recognize that there's purpose in your pain. It's revealing how much you love. Wow. If more people were taught that, do you think we'd have a mental health issue right now? No, I don't think so. Wow, I'm feeling like shit and depressed because I loved so much. Whoa, what a revelation that is. Wow. That was the gift of me caring, as opposed to something being taken from you. Like, nothing's ever taken from you. It was offered. It was on loaner. Think about that. Nobody owns anybody else. Everything's a transitory thing. Your experiences are short, even in long case, right? When you really, like, compare everything in your life, you go through change all the time. But unless it's something you're attached to, you don't notice it, because you're just going through habitual routine and just going through the motions. You're not really necessarily aware of it until it's like an attachment, a belief system, something you value. So when you care, yeah, you're going to feel it when it's not there. And if you didn't care, guess what? You didn't notice it, did you? These are just the realities of life. And there's nothing good or bad about it. It just is. See? Divine dance. And I understand. I have these conversations. It has been one hell of a kapow, like, you know, like in your face. Oh shit, I got another wave of something coming up. I got to deal with this one, or I got to confront that one, and I got to deal with whatever, you know, because most of us have been taught to be non-confrontational. I won't say anything. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to upset the peace, right? Ugh. It's icky, it sucks, but sometimes somebody's going to do it. You got to have the hard conversations or things aren't going to change. If you're not honest with yourself, you won't be able to be honest with others. And if you're not honest with others, people won't trust you. Sometimes they don't want to hear it, but they'll trust you more because you're clear about it. You'll reveal your truth that has to poke and provoke theirs because they have to confront it within themselves. I love life in its many, many flavors. So that's what I really wanted to go over. I was going to go over some of the breast implant illness symptoms because you know what? If you're somebody who has breast implants, okay? Like I was saying, I took off the shield. I lost my dog and it was like a real test of my heart because I love that dog so much. That was like real test of my heart. It literally was like, here's your shields off. My wound was broken. That's what happens. Our hearts are meant to be broken so that they can let the light in. And the more we're willing to open our hearts, the more we're going to get to feel the richness of life. You try to protect and hide it and, you know, oh, I don't want to get hurt. You're going to live a miserable life. I'm just all in it. I'm here for all of it. Give it to me, Lord. And I have. I've gotten it all. I've had the best love of my life many times. I've had some shitty experiences. I've had some like, what? What was that all about? And I'm grateful for it all because it's really just fine-tuning what it is I enjoy in this life and what I deserve and what I respect in myself. So, just covering some of the breast implant illnesses, I never correlated a lot of this stuff for myself. Like, I was like, wow. Chronic joints, pain, neck. I had my wisdom teeth taken out when I was in the military. So I was already with this bruxism or TMJ, whatever they wanted to call it, clenching, popping, like really painful sensations in my mandibular. That's what the TMJ is, the temporomandibular joint right in here. It goes up in here. And it affects everything. It affects your sinuses, your breathing. Everything's connected. Don't discount anything. But like just going through, when I started looking at the breast implant illness list, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, all this time I never really stopped to think about it. And this is over the past few years. And in my original Facebook account, I was in all those groups. I was aware of it. But I was kind of like on the surface, like, I don't think I was really going, hey, I got this because of my breast implants. I never thought like that. I'm like, I'm over here not even going, oh. Allergies. I never had allergies all my life. Raynaud's syndrome was the worst, the cold. Because I go through hot and cold, like where I get so cold in my bones. It's an autoimmune disorder, and I can feel a draft in a room and I'll be freezing and everybody else is like, well, you feel warm to touch, but it's in my bones, icy cold. And that started when I had my breast implants in, you know, and oh my gosh, I saw a video. Somebody sent me a picture the other day. It was an article. I say, take that back. This woman, and my first set were saline. Never stopped to think that the saline bags, you know, oh, well, if it's saline, you're okay. If they rupture, it just absorbs into the skin. If they rupture and there's mold inside of those sacs, which I saw in this picture, I was like, oh, that's some scary shit. You think that just because you got saline, I'm okay, but the actual saline implant is silicone. So your body heats up and it absorbs. It's the, when plastics, all these different components, these chemicals go through the different cycles of heat and cold, they off gas. Your body absorbs that. So you may think that you can rationalize it. How about that one? Because it's not that you think about it that way. You rationalize it. Oh, I'm okay, I'm safe, because I did this, and that's what I'm speaking from is my experience. So my first set for the first 10 years were the saline. I never saw the saline implants afterward. I didn't think to ask. I never asked if they took the capsules out, how all that went down. In fact, I've been thinking about that too, because I realized, my gosh, did that mean I had 2 capsules? So the capsules, that healing scar that the body makes around the implant to protect the body from the implant, because it's a foreign body, it's an invader. So did that mean I had 2 capsules inside my body? One that was left over, or did they take that out when they took out the first set? I really don't know. I never asked that. In fact, I actually thought about that. I need to call my surgeon and ask, did you get both? Was there another capsule in there? I'm just curious. I am going to ask that because I forgot to ask that question. You know, hindsight. Sometimes we forget to ask these questions. Because initially, I wasn't even thinking about an en bloc, which is a total capsulectomy, which is where they take the whole capsule out. They don't just cut it open and take the implant. They take the capsule that the body created because it doesn't belong there naturally. Because if there is a rupture, which I did have on my left breast, then at least it's contained within the capsule. If you cut the capsule open and you have an implant that is ruptured, then you're going to end up with a huge mess and a whole cleanup crew coming in after. And I know when I was looking at this one, I know that there was a pocket in here, and it still appears to me to be bruised, that clearly some of the breast tissue had to be removed, and my guess is because of the oozing of that implant. So I don't know how much was left in my body. My understanding from the surgeon is that did a very good job of cleaning everything up. But we don't know because I have been going through different detox symptoms. On week 4, I mean, I was great. I didn't use any anti-inflammatories. I didn't use any drugs whatsoever. After I came out, the only thing I needed was some water, some juices. They ended up having to give me anti-nausea medication because when I did drink some water, I got woozy. And after that, I was golden. I felt great. I mean, yeah, I had some body muscle tension because, you know, you're under, for me, 4 hours. But it was week 4 when all of a sudden I felt like I had fibromyalgia. Every single nerve in my body was on fire. And my joints were aching and screaming. And I'm like, holy crap, this is, and then I looked it up and it was like, oh, these are some of the waves, because sometimes what happens is you feel like certain things will feel like you clear up. And then other things, it's all of a sudden like flare up because your body's pulling all that old stuff out. You still got it in your tissues. You know, heavy metals get stored in your fat cells. And that's why a lot of people don't realize if you're heavy and you're obese or you're overweight or any of that stuff, you have a greater chance